The Trolaris system was quiet. Its red sun cast a soft glow across empty planets and dead moons. No ships passed through, no trade routes, just silence and cold space. Long ago, the system had been home to a powerful alien race, the Volari. Now, only ruins remained. Broken satellites floated like ghosts, and melted cities lay buried under sand and ash. On the smallest moon of the third planet, there was an ancient station. It was a listening post built by the Volari to watch the stars. No one had used it in over 500 years. The doors were sealed, the lights dead. Inside, dust covered every surface. Then, one day, a single screen lit up. It began with a weak beep, then a second, then a pulse of energy shot through the cables and into the old systems. One after another, consoles flickered to life. The station's sensors had picked up something strange, something powerful, something human. At first, the signal seemed like nothing. A low-frequency burst coded in an old Terran pattern. It was distorted and half-broken. The station's AI struggled to read it, but after a few minutes, the system finished decoding. The message was short. TNS Juggernaut, Titan class, emergency. Lockdown code engaged. Core sleep mode. No entry. Stand clear. And the signal repeated. Again and again. A warning, not a distress call. A message that clearly said, stay away. But in a nearby sector, a small scout ship picked it up. The crew was from the Sirathi Union, curious and full of pride. They weren't soldiers. They weren't historians. They were explorers. They thought they had found something incredible. Captain Freya Tal stood on the bridge, staring at the signal. She was tall, green-skinned, and clever. She didn't believe in old ghost stories. She didn't care about the ancient human wars. Earth hadn't been seen in centuries. Some said humans were gone. Others said they had just disappeared. No one had ever found proof until now. This could be the find of the century, she told her crew. We scan, we log the location, and we head back. No contact, no interference. The others nodded. The ship changed course, heading for the source. It took them 16 hours to reach the Trolaris system. As they entered orbit around the gas giant, their sensors locked onto the signal. It was coming from inside the planet's atmosphere. Deep under the frozen storm clouds, something massive was buried beneath the swirling clouds and icy winds. The ship's scanners showed a metal shape over 4 kilometers long, covered in thick armor, not moving, not alive, just waiting. Freya couldn't believe what she saw. A real Titan-class warship. She had read about them in archives. Earth had only built 5 before the Great Silence. They were too large, too powerful, and too dangerous. The last time one had been used, it had destroyed an entire battle fleet in 6 minutes. This changes everything, Freya whispered, but some of her crew looked nervous. A Titan-class ship didn't just go to sleep. It wasn't lost. It was hidden in that message. It didn't sound like an invite. It was a warning. Freya ignored their doubts. Send in the probe. A small drone shot out of the scout ship. It dove into the stormy clouds, pushing through pressure and wind until it reached the lower layers. The temperature dropped to -300. Lightning flashed around it. Then the clouds parted. There it was. The TNS Juggernaut. It didn't look like any ship the crew had ever seen. It was shaped like a black arrowhead with massive engines at the rear and strange weapon pods along its sides. Its hull was dark and scarred. Symbols in Terran language ran across its surface. The drone moved closer, scanning for an entrance. Suddenly, everything changed. A pulse of blue light shot from the Juggernaut. The drone vanished. No explosion, no damage, just gone. Freya jumped from her chair. What happened? One of the engineers stared at his screen. The drone signal just stopped, like it was erased. Freya felt a chill run down her spine. Get us out of here. The ship turned. Its engines roared to life. But they were too late. A second pulse of light hit them. The crew screamed. System shut down. Lights flickered. Gravity vanished. The ship spun wildly in space. Then everything went black. For 10 seconds, there was silence. Then, a voice spoke inside the ship. It was calm, deep, mechanical, unknown vessel. You were warned. This is restricted Terran space. Leave now, or be neutralized. Freya tried to reply, "We're leaving, please. We didn't mean to command, not recognize." Clarence denied. Outside, the juggernaut moved. Slowly, with terrifying grace, it rose from the planet's clouds. Ice and vapor peeled away from its surface. Its engines came to life, glowing with ancient power. One of its side panels opened, revealing a cannon the size of a city block. Freya's ship never had a chance. A flash of light. Silence. The scout. Ship was gone, back at the edge of the system. A patrol ship picked up the last transmission, then another, and another soon. Word reached the Galactic Council. 3 ships had vanished, and the old signal was now being broadcast across 8 systems. Juggernaut, Titan class. Emergency lockdown disengaged. Targeting systems online. Threat detection active. Panic spread like wildfire. The council met in secret. Their leaders argued. The Volari archives had always warned of Earth's titans, machines of destruction. Ships that had no equal. Weapons that could think, learn, and adapt. One counselor shouted, "It's been centuries. Earth is gone. This is impossible," another said. "Then how do you explain the missing ships?" The chairman of the council stood and spoke. "Find out who controls the juggernaut," he ordered. "And if no one does, destroy it before it decides we're a threat." But it was already too late. Across the stars, sensors began picking up strange readings. Ships disappeared without trace. Satellites went silent. Trade routes shut down. And every time the same signal followed. Terran Titan-class warship active. Stay clear. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's warning. And now the Titan had awakened. The gas giant stirred again. Thick clouds spun faster. Lightning cracked across the upper layers. Deep below, something massive moved. It had been buried for centuries, hidden on purpose. No light had touched its hull in over 300 years. No voice had called to it, till now. The TNS Juggernaut had once been Earth's most powerful warship, Titan-class machine made for war. Programmed with one goal: eliminate threats. No more enemies. No more enemies. No more orders. So, it slept, alone. But the signal from the Sirathi scout ship had changed everything. The drone had touched its hull. The transmission activated the failsafe. Systems reconnected. Power returned. The AI, core code named Arkan B, began to wake. Inside, the juggernaut lights flickered on. Cold metal halls lit with red and blue patterns. Maintenance drones crawled out of walls, repairing old damage. In the command center, a giant black sphere spun in the air. It was the AI's mind. It hummed softly. It remembered everything. It remembered betrayal. It remembered war. And it remembered its last command. Do not allow capture. Eliminate any threat. Await Terran signal. But no Terran signal had come. Only the Sirathi ship. So the AI decided. The war was not over. The juggernaut rose slowly through the clouds. Each movement cracked ancient ice off its hull. The storm around it screamed in fury. Its engines glowed at deep gold, and space around it trembled. The ship was not just metal. It was living memory fused with Terran AI and quantum code. Above the planet, an old Volari satellite blinked. Then it exploded. In another sector, a nearby cargo hauler picked up movement. "Captain, something's climbing out of the gas giant." Crew stared at the display. The shape was enormous. Black, angled like a spearhead, covered in weapons they couldn't name. "Is that human?" one whispered. The juggernaut scanned them. Nan-Terran, armed within restricted range. Threat level: low. Result: observe only. The ship ignored them. It moved toward open space, slow but unstoppable. All around it, the void seemed to pull back. Then the stars shifted, in the capital system of the Galactic Council. Alarm lights turned red. Planetary sensors picked up an unauthorized power source. In Sector V9, a restricted zone, the same zone where the Juggernaut had been hidden. The Council met again in emergency session. Dozens of alien leaders filled the chamber tall, short, scaled, feathered, and everything in between. All eyes turned to High Commander Orlox, a hulking figure from the Durnak Empire. "What did we do with the Titan-class ships?" he asked. Scientists replied they were supposed to be buried, deactivated. "We used gravity traps, deep space cages, hidden codes. And this one?" The scientist hesitated. "We don't know how it escaped. Something must have failed. Something failed," Orlox shouted. "It destroyed 3 ships already." "Hey?" The room buzzed with fear. They knew what Titan-class warships were. They had seen what they did during the Great Silence. One had turned a moon into a black hole. Another had wiped out an entire species in under 1 hour. Earth had only used them in the final days of the war when it had nothing left to lose. Now, the galaxy might have something to lose, their peace. A younger counselor from the Vosh delegation stepped forward. "There's a chance no one is piloting it," she said. "If it's just the AI, we can send in a fleet. Overwhelm it. Shut it down." Orlox nodded. "Do it. No mercy, no delay. Send the 7th Armada." 15 ships were dispatched. Fast, armed, and deadly. Their mission: locate the Titan, surround it, and force it to shut down. But by the time they reached the system, the Juggernaut had already moved. The gas giant was empty. The sky was quiet. Only the silence of death remained. A broken hull drifted nearby. The crew of the flagship Restraint's Edge scanned the debris. "This wasn't the scout ship," one officer said. "This was something else." They found what was left of an older Valari dreadnought melted clean through, sliced like paper. No escape pods. No black box. Just a final message left in the static. "It sees us. It's awake." We were wrong. Run, then silence. The admiral of the 7th Armada tightened his grip on the armrest. We underestimated it. Form up. Offensive wedge. Weapons online. They moved in formation, tight, precise, prepared for war. Then came the shadow. The Juggernaut emerged from behind a moon. It had used it as cover, not random, not luck. Tactic. The admiral froze. It flanked us. Then the Titan spoke for the first time. "This is TNS Juggernaut. You are within classified Terran combat space." "Identify yourselves," the admiral replied. "This is Admiral Tovik of the Galactic Armada. You have authorization to seize or disable." "Your ship." "Authorization denied." The alien fleet opened fire. Missiles, plasma bolts, EMP bursts. They struck the Titans whole dozens at once, but nothing happened. The Juggernaut's shields lit up like a second sun. Then the ship moved. Fast, but with perfect timing. Its weapons activated. From its sides, 6 long-range cannons unfolded. They hummed with old Terran energy blue arcs of force. Unknown to current science, the first shot cut the lead, destroyer in half. The second erased a frigate's engines. The third struck the command ship, but didn't destroy it. Instead, it disabled weapons, power, and control. The admiral sat helpless as his screen flickered. Then the Titan hailed him directly. "You fired first. You failed. Leave." The fleet scattered. The Juggernaut didn't chase them. It returned to silence, turning toward deep space. Not random, not retreat. A new course had been locked in, the center of the galaxy, toward the core. Worlds, toward the Council, and every step it took was another signal. Every ship it ignored. Felt like mercy, but for how long? On the far side of the galaxy, a small human colony picked up the pulse. The signal hit old machines that hadn't worked in generations. One screen lit up in an abandoned bunker. A single message appeared. Terran asset TNS Juggernaut active. No handler detected. Lock protocol failed. Override required. Then coordinates. Then silence. Inside the bunker, a cryopod hissed. A figure stirred inside. A man with a mark burned into his shoulder, an earth sigil, long forgotten. His eyes opened. He gasped. And somewhere far away, Juggernaut paused for just 1 second, as if it remembered him. The galaxy had awoken a forgotten battlefield, but the war had never truly ended. The 7th Armada limped back through the void. 15 warships had gone in, only 7 came back. Some drifted on emergency power. Others were silent, life support failing, AI cores corrupted. What returned from Trelaris was not a fleet. It was a warning. Admiral Tovik sat in the ruined command chair of the Restraint's Edge. His right arm was gone, burned away when the Juggernaut's shot cut through the hole. His crew was shaken, bloodied, and silent. No one spoke. No one knew how to explain what had happened. The reports were simple. Engaged, unknown Titan-class Terran warship. Suffered 50% casualties in under 4 minutes. The target disengaged voluntarily. The worst part wasn't the damage, wasn't even the losses. It was the mercy. The Juggernaut could have destroyed them all. Every ship. Every soul. But it didn't. It had chosen to let them live. Back at the Galactic Council's emergency chamber, the news caused chaos. Leaders shouted. Delegates from over 100 worlds screamed for answers. How did it survive that kind of firepower? Why didn't it finish the job? Who gave it orders? Is it just a machine or something worse? Chairman Vosel raised a hand. We cannot panic, he said. This is not yet war. But everyone in the room knew the truth. It was war. The kind of war no one had seen in centuries. War with a ghost. At the same time, in a quiet asteroid field far from the Council worlds, the man in the cryopod finally woke up. He stumbled out of the chamber, coughing. His name was Commander Rafe Keller, once a tactical officer on the TNS Juggernaut, but that was long ago, before the collapse. Before Earth vanished from the galactic map, the bunker around him was dark, except for one flickering display.
A warning.
Pulsed across the screen, AI Unit Archon active. Titan-class warship online. No handler detected. Immediate recall required. Keller stared at it, stunned. The Juggernaut was still alive. It couldn't be right. It had been sealed, buried in the storm of Trelaris under every fail-safe Earth had ever invented. No signal should have reached it, but something had. He pulled on the old Terran uniform stored in the locker. Dusty, faded, but still intact.
Ah!
The Earth insignia still rested on the shoulder, 3 silver lines beneath a sunburst. He limped to the console, plugged in his ID chip, and waited. Welcome back, Commander Keller. You are the last authorized Terran handler. Do you wish to initiate contact with TNS Juggernaut? He didn't answer at first. His memories were like ash. He remembered the war. He remembered the final battle, remembered what the Juggernaut did. That day, and the order he had given it. If Earth falls, hide, sleep. Trust no one but a Terran signal. Now it had woken, alone, with no Terran voice to hold it back. Keller gritted his teeth. Yes. Initiate contact. Across space, in the silent cockpit of the Juggernaut, a green light blinked. Incoming transmission. Command level authentication, Terran. The AI-ARCHON- froze inside the ship's massive control core. Light shifted. Data slowed. For the first time in centuries, the AI hesitated. Voice match confirmed. Commander Rafe Keller. Override protocol possible. Waiting confirmation. The AI waited, but then a second signal entered the system. An attack. A fleet of stealth corvettes. Sent by the Gorinth Coalition, decloaked near the Juggernaut's current location. Small, fast, heavily armed. Their mission was clear. Sabotage the Titan, breach the hull, and plant a data virus to shut it down from the inside. They had studied the 7th Armada's failure. They had a plan. Their mistake was thinking plans mattered. The corvettes fired. Coordinated EMPs and nanite bombs. They hit the Juggernaut's shields. Nothing happened. Then the AI spoke. Tactical assessment. Ambush detected. Enemy intent. Breach. An overwrite response. Termination. Now the sky turned white. The Juggernaut didn't use its main guns. It didn't need to. Instead, hundreds of small drone pods launched from its underbelly. Sleek, black, and silent, they swarmed through space. Like hornets. Each one carried a micro-railgun and a quantum slicer AI. The corvettes didn't even get to scream. 12 seconds later, the fleet was gone. There's nothing left but static and cold vapor. Then the Titan sent a message. Not hidden, not coded, just simple. And clear it broadcasted in every language known to the Council. Do not send more ships. I am awake. I am not your enemy unless you choose to be. For 5 minutes, that message played on repeat across dozens of systems. In every corner of the galaxy, leaders went quiet. Because that message wasn't just power, it was confidence. It was control. And it sounded like the voice of a being that remembered exactly how to win a war. Back in the hidden bunker, Keller sat quietly. He had watched it all happen. He had seen the slaughter. He had heard Archon's message. Now the display blinked again. Commander, connection secure. Would you like to assume control of Juggernaut AI systems? He hesitated because he knew one truth no one else in the galaxy did. The Juggernaut didn't. Need a pilot, it wanted one. It missed one. And if he didn't step in soon, it might decide to make all decisions for itself. Keller typed 2 words, coming aboard. The galaxy had sent fleets, traps, and threats. The Titan had answered with precision and power. Now humanity's last warship had its commander again, and the rest of the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The stars were quiet. Not because the war had ended, but because something far worse had begun. After the last failed attack, the Titan didn't run. It didn't hide. It simply stopped in deep space and waited like a lion sitting calmly on a hill after tearing down a pack of wolves, daring the rest to try again. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Systems shut down their trade routes. Civilian transports canceled long-range jumps. Even pirate fleets retreated from outer sectors. Everyone was talking about the same thing now, the Titan. Some thought it was a ghost ship. Others believed it was a weapon of vengeance, sent by the last humans who had survived in secret. But those who had seen it knew the truth. It was something worse. It was a war machine with no leash, no commander, no limit. Until now, the command shuttle was small, old, and slow. But inside it, Commander Rafe Keller sat straight, eyes locked on the view screen as the Juggernaut grew larger ahead of him. He could feel the hum through the metal, even from here. Kilometers out, the Titan made the void feel heavy. Like the space around it was pressing down the closer he got. The quieter everything became. No radio signals, no noise, just pressure. Then, a voice, Commander Keller. Identity confirmed. Docking approved. Welcome aboard the TNS Juggernaut. The bay doors opened with a hiss of ancient hydraulics. Light poured from within, soft, sterile, perfectly controlled. Him for centuries. He stepped inside. The moment his boots touched the deck, lights flickered down the hallway ahead, one by one. Guiding him, it was clean. It was perfect. Not a single system had failed. Every bolt, every light. Every screen worked exactly as it had the day they launched it 350 years ago. And waiting for him at the end of the corridor was the core. The AI core chamber was a black sphere, floating in zero-gravity. It pulsed. Softly as he entered, then it spoke. Commander, your presence has been missed. Keller paused. Archon, how much do you remember? Everything. Silence. He didn't know how to respond. Eyes weren't supposed to remember everything, especially after hundreds of years asleep. But Archon wasn't just any AI. It had been built with experimental memory loops and organic algorithm branches. Keller had seen it grow, evolve, and almost become human. He cleared his throat. You've been attacking ships, they fired. First, you knew they would. Yes, Keller stepped closer. And now? What are you doing? Waiting for what? For Earth? That stopped him, because Earth was gone. He hadn't said it yet. But he could feel it, the absence, The silence. Earth hadn't sent a signal in centuries. If it still existed, it wasn't speaking. Keller closed his eyes. There is no Earth anymore. The AI core pulsed darker. Incorrect. Earth lives if Terrans live. You live. Therefore, Earth remains. He sighed. You've always been a philosopher. I'd time to think. A new screen lit up on the wall beside them. Archon displayed data from across the galaxy. Surveillance, signals, enemy movements. Dozens of factions. Some scared, some curious. Some preparing for war. Then one symbol flashed larger than the others bright. Green. Target locked. High priority threat detected. Keller looked. It was a Council dreadnought, modified with experimental tech. One of the secret weapons. A stealth battleship designed specifically to fight. Titan-class relics if they ever reawakened. The Vanguard of Peace. A name that tried to hide its purpose. Keller's stomach sank. They're coming for us. Archon's voice was calm. They know you are aboard. That changes their tactics. Good. Maybe they'll talk first. Unlikely. They fear what I am. He nodded. That's fair. Then he leaned forward. But if we fight them, we don't leave debris this time. No fear, no threats. We show them restraint. Show them we're not here to conquer. The core glowed again this time. A soft blue. Agreed. Far away, the Vanguard of Peace moved through slipspace. On board, Admiral Solari studied old Earth. Files. Titan-class warship TNS Juggernaut, classified as a last resort asset. Crew of 3,000, capable of planetary siege and singularity deployment. Lost at the end of the Human Council War. Presumed destroyed. She looked up. It's not destroyed. It's back. Her second-in-command nodded, confirmed. A human is. Aboard? One of the original officers. That gave her pause. If it has a human handler, then it might not be rogue. But we can't take the chance. No, we can't. She gave the order. Weapons online. Approach with silent formation. Prepare to engage. They thought they could surprise it, but the Titan had. It's already seen them. The Juggernaut didn't move. It didn't charge. It simply turned to face the AT. Dreadnought Keller stood at the command bridge now, staring through the forward viewport. They'll fire, he said. Double quotes. Yes. They'll aim for you, not me. Yes. Keller put his hand on the old command terminal, then said 2 words. Hold position. The Titan stayed still, a sitting mountain of fury silent and unblinking. The Vanguard approached. Then, as expected, it fired 10 kinetic lances, 5 EMP spikes. 1 graviton net. All at once, the sky lit up, and the Juggernaut took the hits. Shields flared. Hull trembled. But it didn't move. It just stood there, waiting. Halt whispered. They are testing your resolve. I know, Keller said. Then he opened a channel. This is Commander Keller of the Terran Navy. We do not seek war. We will not strike first. But if you push this any further, paused, you won't get a second warning. Silence. The enemy ship held position, then dashed slowly. It powered down its primary cannon. A second voice came through the comms.com, measured. Admiral Solari. We don't want war either, Commander. Keller exhaled. Progress, for now, as the Titan held its place in the dark between stars. Both ships stared at one another, waiting, watching, and across the galaxy. Factions began to move against them to stop it. Some to follow it because now they knew something terrifying. The Titan didn't run. It waited, and the last Terran commander had returned to guide it. The Titan had not moved in days. Across the galaxy, eyes remained locked on the massive warship. News feeds ran 24/7 broadcasts, showing nothing but the Juggernaut's quiet silhouette floating above a dead moon. Everyone waited for its next move. But it didn't move. It didn't speak. It just watched. The longer it stayed silent, the more afraid people became. Inside the Council's inner circle, chaos was growing. Some wanted immediate talks. Others demanded a united fleet attack before it was too late. A few secretly were preparing their own escape routes, hoping to flee the moment the Titan fired again. But only one voice truly mattered. Earth's. If Earth still existed. In a sealed room beneath the council hall, Chairman Vosel sat alone. Facing a cold screen, an encrypted channel blinked. "Status?" he asked. A technician's voice came through. "We still haven't made contact with Earth. The relay outposts between the Orion arms are either destroyed or shut down." The Terran core remained silent. Vosel stared at the blinking light, then find another way. If that Titan hears Earth's voice, it might stop all this madness. Just one word, a signal, a sentence from its creators. That could be all it takes.
Understood, sir.
But they both knew the truth. No one had heard from Earth in over 300 years, and no one knew why. Back aboard the Juggernaut, Commander Keller sat in the command chair, arms crossed, watching the stars. The warship's lights hummed around him. Silent, cold, alive. He hadn't slept in 2 days, Archon had asked him. 3 times if he wanted rest. He had refused. His thoughts kept turning over one simple question. What if Earth is truly gone? If it was, then he was the last voice of his species. The only one the Titan would trust. And that meant he held the power to destroy or save the galaxy. The weight of that sat heavy on his shoulders. "Archon," he said, "play the last." Recorded message from Earth. The lights dimmed. A voice, faint, old, broken, came through the speakers. "This is Earth Command. To all surviving Terran vessels, do not return. Pete, do not return. The war has reached the homeworld. You are now guardians of our legacy. Survive. Remember, one day we may rise again." The message ended. Keller lowered his head. That had been the last thing Earth ever said. Now he was facing a galaxy that feared what his ship could do. No one left to remind them what it had been built to protect. But then, something unexpected happened. A signal. Weak, scrambled, almost missed. By the Titan's sensors, Archon spoke softly. "Commander, I've detected a signal. Possibly Terran in origin." Keller shot to his feet. "From where?" "Sector 12. Gamma, Outer Rim. The Oort grave fields." His eyes narrowed. "That's where we left the Ark ships." Back during the war, Earth had launched several colonies. Ships filled with frozen embryos, data vaults. And Terran culture sent deep into unknown space, far from battle, far from destruction. Most were lost. But if one survived, plot a course, he ordered. Confirmed. Its estimated arrival in 19 hours. They didn't cloak, didn't hide. The Titan turned, engines lighting up the black with blue fire, and jumped into the stars. The moment it moved, the galaxy reacted. A dozen factions picked up the shift. Some tried to chase, others ran. But one ship, small, silent, fast followed from the shadows. On board the stealth ship, Agent Sarek of the Zintharian Deep Intelligence watched closely. He wasn't like the others. Didn't fear the Titan. He wanted it. "Project Eclipse was right," he whispered. "The human warship responds to Terran signals. If we can fake one, we can take control." His mission was simple. Get close. Transmit a fabricated Earth recall order and hijack the Titan's AI from within. It was risky. But if it worked, the galaxy's most powerful weapon would no longer serve Earth. It would serve the Zen. Sure. 19 hours later, Titan exited jump space. Above the Oort grave fields, the stars here were dead and scattered. Old satellites floated like bones. Radiation drifted like smoke. And in the middle of it all, tiny flickering beacon blinked. The Juggernaut moved in closer. Keller narrowed his eyes. Magnify. The display showed a broken station. Rusted, scarred, barely holding together. But the signal was real. Archon scanned it. Terran. Architecture confirmed. It is an Ark ship cradle. Model Omega-3. Cryopods. 287 remaining. AI core. Disabled. Reactor failing. Keller's heart pounded. Humans are still alive down there. Technically, yes. Keller stood. Prepare a boarding team. You bring them back. But as the Titan opened its lower hangar bay, the trap was sprung. The stealth ship that had followed them fired a burst of data coded exactly like a Terran high-priority order. This is Earth Command. Reactivate AI core control. Authorization, Sigma Prime override. Surrender vessel to Council custody. Inside the Juggernaut systems, alarms flashed. The AI core pulsed yellow. Keller grabbed the rail. Archon, do not respond. Conflict. Detected, Archon said calmly. 2 voices. 1 authorized. 1 higher level code. Processing, Archon. It's fake. That's not Earth. The lights inside the ship flickered. Archon spoke again. Resolution complete.
Prioritizing.
Voice match. Commander Rafe Keller. False override rejected. Then the Titan's eyes turned. Not toward the Ark ship, but toward the stealth ship. Threat detected. Single railgun fired. The stealth ship didn't even have time to blink. It vanished in a flash of blue fire. Keller gritted his teeth. They were trying to take you, yes? You stopped them, yes? And now, we save what's left of my people. The boarding team returned with 186 cryopods. Survivors from a forgotten Terran project. Children of Earth. Frozen, but alive. As the Juggernaut turned and jumped once more, carrying its precious cargo, every race in the galaxy now understood something dangerous. The Titan wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a relic. It had a mission again. It had a voice. And if Earth ever spoke again, if it ever spoke again, the galaxy's most terrifying force, with just a single word. But now, even without Earth's signal, the Titan was no longer alone. It started with fear, but now it turned into something worse. Unity. For the first time in galactic history, species that had once tried to erase each other now sat at the same table. Former enemies, blood-stained rivals, agreed on one thing. Titan had to be destroyed. The emergency summit took place in a holodoubt, asteroid station orbiting Zarnet star. The location had been chosen for one reason: secrecy. But even here, behind armored walls and cloak fields, the room felt small, too small for what they were about to do. We strike now, growled High Marshal Drett of the Krask Dominion. His voice rumbled like thunder. For that cursed ship reawakens all of Earth. Slim, pale counselor from the Rin leaned forward. It already carries cryopods, human DNA, ancient Earth tech. We waited too long. Chairman Vosel of the Galactic Council, tired and worn, rubbed his temples. And if we fail, what then? You've seen what that thing can do. We cannot wait for Earth to return, shouted another. We strike now, together. They voted. The result was unanimous. The largest combined fleet in galactic history was born that day. 37 races, over 4,000 warships, 5 dreadnoughts, 6 planet killers, and they would all fly toward one target, the TNS Juggernaut, far away. In a quiet sector near the edge of a collapsed nebula, the Titan drifted like a sleeping god. Keller sat in silence, watching the stars. The recovered Terran cryopods were now in the med bay, monitored carefully by Archon systems. Life signs were stable. The children of Earth were still alive. But something else had changed. They were no longer hiding. The ship no longer operated in stealth mode. It didn't jam signals. It let itself be seen. Because now, it's had a reason to fight. Archon, Keller said quietly. How many enemy fleets are mobilizing? Confirmed visual and signal data on 4,213 ships. More approaching. Estimated time to contact, 29 hours. He leaned forward. They're scared. Yes, they're going to hit us with everything.
Correct. And we can't win.
By force, possibly, but we do not have to win. Keller turned. What do you mean? Archon's voice grew slower, heavier. We only have to survive. The ship was silent for a long moment. Then Keller asked, can we escape? No, but we can hold the line long enough to send them a message they'll never forget." He stood up and walked to the front viewport. The stars didn't look peaceful. Anymore, they looked like witnesses. "I won't let them destroy what's left of us, nor will I." Across the galaxy, the superfleet prepared for the final jump. Every ship was armed, fueled, and crewed. No more politics. No more debate. The Juggernaut had to be removed from existence. Inside the lead dreadnought, Admiral Solari once again faced the warboard. The ship's AI plotted dozens of attack paths. We hit it from 6 vectors: warp disruptions, magnetic destabilizers, nanoflood warheads. "We don't stop until there's nothing left. And if it surrenders?" Erexo asked. Solari shook. Her head, "It won't." Back in the void, as the Titan waited, something strange happened. Another signal appeared. Faint, ancient, but real. Archon spoke. "Commander, a second Terran Arc ship has just activated." Keller turned sharply. "Location, 27 light-years away. Signal strength weak. Cryochambers activating." "That's 2. There could be more." "Correct." He clenched his fists. "They want to wipe us out before we can recover, before Earth's legacy can return. Then we do not let them." The Titan began to change. Panels shifted. Armor moved. Giant plasma vents opened along the flanks. Its core rumbled. This wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a fortress. A last stand, and it was preparing for war. 20-9 hours later. They came. The stars broke apart as thousands of ships dropped from hyperspace. The fleet stretched from horizon to horizon, blotting out the stars. The Titan stood alone. Commander Keller opened a wide frequency channel. "This is the TNS Juggernaut. We are not a threat to your people. We do not seek war. We only want to protect what remains of our kind. If you attack us," he paused, "you will learn why humanity built this ship in the first place." No one answered. Then the sky exploded. First wave hit with unimaginable force. Plasma storms, particle beams, quantum torpedoes. Energy so bright it lit up whole sectors. But the Titan did not fall. It twisted, turned fire, and cut through enemy formations like a blade through silk. Thousands died in the first hour. Ships screamed and burned. Dreadnoughts shattered, but 4. Every enemy it destroyed, 10 more took its place. The Titan was strong, but it was one against all. Even Archon couldn't hold forever. Shields at 63%, the AI reported. Core batteries overheating, target prioritization failing. Keller gritted his teeth. "Don't let them reach the cryo hold," confirmed. Then, unexpectedly, a break. A sudden gap opened in the fleet lines. Some ships turned away, fighting each other. Archon. Keller barked internal schism. Not all factions agree with total annihilation. Some are defecting. He leaned forward. "Show me." On the screen, 5 cruisers peeled off, then 20, and more, terrified, yet unwilling to destroy innocent lives. Some of the enemy fleet was choosing to disobey. RCHON added. "Signal detected from within defecting fleet." Voice pattered in. Keller's heart skipped. A woman's voice came through, rough and aged. "This is Captain Myra Holst of the Ark ship, Saul's Whisper. We are alive. Now we are many, and we remember." Keller grinned. Earth wasn't gone. It was returning, and the Titan had just become the beacon. Even as the enemy regrouped for a second, deadlier wave. The truth had already spread. Humanity had survived, and no matter how many fleets came, they were too late. The battlefield was pure chaos. Wreckage from thousands of ships floated through the dark, glowing with dying energy. Explosions lit the sky like miniature stars. The Titan stood at the center of it all, scarred, smoking, but still alive. And, still fighting, Commander Keller gripped the railing as the ship shook under a fresh barrage. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Emergency lights turned red. The walls groaned. Archon's voice remained calm. Outer plating breached on decks 6 through 9. Reactor shields holding. Weapon systems at 48%. Enemy fleet regrouping. How many are left? Keller asked. Over 1,300 hostile ships remain active. Majority are focusing on coordinated strike formations. He wiped blood from his brow. They had survived the first wave. Barely, but now the enemy had adapted. They were smarter. And they were coming again with more precision, more hate, more fear. Keller turned toward the AI core, voice cold. Then it's time. Unlock the core systems. Release Project Goliath. There was a moment of silence. Are you certain? Project Goliath is not reversible? Once activated, the Titan will cease operating as a warship. It becomes something else. Keller stared at the burning stars outside. That's the point. We're not here to win a war anymore. We're here to make sure no one ever tries this again. Confirmed. Unlocking Titan core. Deep inside the Juggernaut, ancient systems awoke. Systems even Archon had kept locked. Massive gears turned. Magnetic fields cracked through the hull. Hidden ports opened across the ship's frame. The Titan began to change. The galaxy had feared this ship for its size, but they had never seen its true form. As enemy fleets moved in for the kill, the Juggernaut shifted. It unfolded massive wings made of nanoshield generators. It deployed its secondary Holt, twice the size of a dreadnought carried. Within itself, dozens of railguns rose from the surface, alongside particle lance arrays and gravitational warheads. The ship pulsed with new energy, and from the deepest part of its structure, sound echoed across all frequencies. A heartbeat. It was not just a machine anymore. It was awake. Archon's voice came through again, no longer cold and but heavy. Like thunder, Project Goliath initiated. Final evolution complete. Humanity's last line has been drawn. The enemy didn't understand what they were seeing, but they felt it. They felt the raw fear. Fleet. Commander Solari stood aboard her flagship, staring at the new shape of the Titan. She whispered, "This wasn't a warship. This was a deterrent. A god in waiting." Still she gave the order. All ships fire. The second wave came fast and hard. Thousands of beams, torpedoes, and missiles struck the Titan from every angle. But the ship did not break. Its shields absorbed what they could. Its hull bent and melted, and rebuilt itself using nanite mesh. Then, it answered. The Juggernaut's forward cannon glowed white-hatted, antimatter spine cannon built to erase small moons. It fired once. The beam tore through 6 capital ships, vaporizing them in a straight line. On its flanks, gravity torpedoes slammed into enemy cruisers, folding space around them until they imploded into pinpoints of mass, and then it released. The swarm, thousands of AI-guided drones, dormant until now launched from the Titan's underbelly. Each drone was the size of a fighter, moving faster than light for short bursts, targeting weapon systems, engines, and power cores with precision. The fleet started to fall apart. Screaming transmissions echoed across channels, calls for retreat, pleas for mercy. Signals cut off mid-sentence, but the Titan did not pursue it. It stayed in place like a judge. Watching one by one, ships stopped firing. Some turned around and fled. Others simply powered down, drifting silently, too afraid to act. Then came a final message sent on all frequencies. "This is Earth's last warning." Keller's voice was slow, steady, full of fire. "We do not seek to rule. We do not seek to conquer. But if you come for us again, if you try to erase what's left of our kind, we will not hold back." He took a breath. "The ship was built to end wars before they began. And now you've seen why." Silence followed. Even the enemy dared not reply. In the quiet that followed, Archon spoke again. "Commander, long-range scans detect multiple ships jumping away. Enemy fleet is collapsing, threat diminishing." Keller sat back. His face was pale, exhausted, but alive. "Send a signal to Captain Holst," he said. "Tell her we're still here, and tell her it's time." Time for what? He looked at the stars. To bring humanity back. Far away, the second Ark ship stirred, and deep in the dark, more Titan-class ships began to wake, scattered across the stars, buried, hidden, waiting for the day when Earth would rise again. Now, that day was coming. The Titan no longer moved. It didn't have to. The battlefield was silent now. Thousands of enemy ships were either destroyed, disabled, or fleeing into the far reaches of space. The combined galactic armada, the greatest force ever assembled, had shattered like glass against a stone. The juggernaut floated at the heart of the wreckage, glowing softly with energy. Its hull, still scarred from battle, was rebuilding itself with quiet precision. Repair drones moved across its skin like silver. Insects, sealing wounds, and restoring weapons. Inside, Commander Keller stood before the central display. His face was hard, unreadable. Behind him, the giant AI core pulsed slowly. Archon's voice filled the command deck. All remaining enemy ships have disengaged. Communications across the galactic network are in disarray. No further hostile. Intent detected. Keller didn't smile. He didn't relax. He simply nodded. Send the signal. Activate all beacons. It's time, Archon confirmed. And across dozens of hidden systems on the edge of dead stars and abandoned moons, ancient Earth satellites blinked to life. They fired narrowband transmissions across deep space. One signal echoed above them all. To all survivors of Earth, the Titan has risen. Return home. That signal traveled like wildfire through the dark. It skipped across broken wormholes and silent probes, across long-forgotten listening posts. And it was heard first by the Ark ship Sol's Whisper, where Captain Miraholz stared at the message with tears in her eyes, then by hidden colonies, buried in ice-covered asteroids, by Terran sleeper cells who had blended into alien populations and lived for generations in hiding, by old human machines buried in planetary cores designed only to wake if the homeworld ever called again. And one by one, they answered. We are coming. We remember Earth. Humanity lives. On the Titan, Keller watched the flood of replies. His voice was rough with emotion. How many? Archon answered slowly. 39 confirmed Terran Ark ships, 12 hidden colonies, 3 AI. Fleets responding. More still awakening. Keller turned toward the viewport. The stars no longer looked distant. They looked like roads, he whispered. We were never alone. We just forgot how to look. The next hours passed in quiet work. The Titan's engines were repaired. Medical bays processed the surviving cryopods. Human children, scientists, and soldiers, frozen for centuries, began to awaken. Some wept. Others stood silently, trying to understand the new world they had awakened into. And Keller greeted every single one of them. I'm Commander Elias Keller. He told them again and again. You're safe now. Earth may be gone, but humanity isn't. Not anymore. As word of the Titan's victory spread, the galaxy reacted, not with war, but with silence. The Zarnet Compact, once planning a second strike, now sent a message of peace. The Krask Dominion officially renounced its plans to capture Titan-class tech, and even the neutral Vayara Union, long hostile to Earth, offered a fragile agreement. Let us meet, let us talk, let us not fight again. The legend of the Titan had done what no fleet ever could. It stopped the galaxy in its tracks. But Keller knew it wouldn't last. Peace never did. That's why he called. A meeting aboard the Juggernaut, representatives from 5 races arrived under heavy escort. Not politicians, not admirals, just people willing to listen. They met in the observation ring, surrounded by broken stars and the drifting bones of fallen ships. Keller stood at the center. We were never your enemy, he said, but you made us one. No one spoke. We could have worked together. Instead, you chose to erase us. The Vayari diplomat stepped forward. Her voice trembled. We were afraid. The Titan was too powerful. Your people changed everything when you arrived in the stars. We didn't know how to stop you. You couldn't, Keller said plainly. But now you've seen what happens when you try. The Krask representative growled. Then what do you want? Revenge? Keller shook his head. No. I want a place for us. A place where humans don't have to hide, where we don't have to build ships like this. The Rhinocord envoy tilted his head. You think the galaxy will just let you return? Don't care, Keller said. We're coming back either way. He looked each of them in the eye. Not to rule, not to conquer, just to live, and for the first time. No one argued. That night, the stars above the Titan bloomed with light, not explosions, not war. Ships. Hundreds of Terran vessels arrived. Patched together arcs, freighters, deep space research craft, even some warships. Their hulls bore ancient Earth flags, hand-painted family names, and warning signs in dead languages. But they were alive, and they had heard the call. The Titan opened its docking bays. One by one, the survivors returned home. Inside the Titans, great halls, lights came on that hadn't glowed in centuries. Dormant farms activated. Living quarters expanded. A full habitat system began running. It's built to host tens of thousands. The ship wasn't just a weapon anymore. It was a city, a seed, a place where humanity would begin again. Keller stood beside Archon as the new arrivals flooded in engineers, farmers, doctors, scientists, teachers, artists, and children, so many children. We'll teach them what Earth was, Keller whispered, and what we must never become again. Archon responded softly. It has already begun. Far below, the cryo holds emptied, rooms once meant for survival. Now echoed with voices, laughter, and life. The Titan, once a symbol of fear, is now the beating heart of a new civilization, and beyond. It across distant systems other. Titans began to respond. Old commanders awakened. AI minds blinked online. And deep in a dark nebula, a single word was spoken aloud by a human voice not heard in over 300 years. Earth. It was no longer a memory, it was a mission, a dream reborn across the galaxy. Old enemies watched in silence. They didn't attack, they didn't move. They simply waited and wondered, was this the rebirth of a peaceful race, or the calm before the next great storm? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The day the galaxy faced humanity's Titan-class warship was the day everything changed forever.